Hello everybody, and welcome to Storm Raids, and today I'm going to be talking about my July wrap-up. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about my July wrap-up, and here's just kind of a broad overview of a few things. I may have forgot to mention some things along the way, I don't know, but I read a total of 14 books. I had 11 adult books, 3 middle grade books. I read 2 for Retro Summer, 1 for Christmas in July, and 1 for Private Eye July. I had 1 5-star, 8 4-stars, 2 3.5 stars, and 3 3-stars. So overall, I think I had a fairly successful July. There was some books that, the ones that are like 3.5 to 3 stars were, not my favorites, and I thought they were just okay and everything like that, but they were still readable. I didn't feel like I needed to quit in the middle of them or anything like that, and that other people may enjoy more than me and things like that, so they were decent, I guess. And so I'm just going to real quickly run down about and talk about all the books that I read. Okay, so one of, I think, the most successful things that I would like to mention is that I did read books off of my own TBR and things. One of these was brand new because somebody had just gave it to me for my birthday, but still, it's reading it off of my own TBR. And that's what I am trying to accomplish, is starting to read some of mine. That way, if I want to keep them in my collection, I can. And if I don't, I can put them on Pango. But I really need to go through some of these books that I have and make a decision on them. So, I got through a few, and so I'm happy about that. I might listen to them all on audio, except for one. But I still got through them. The first one being The Last Kids on Earth and the Doomsday Race. I really, really love this series. It's a lot of fun. This is by Max Brailer, and it's just middle grade, I'd call it adventure, fun, horror. I don't think it's like super scary or anything like that. It's just got a monster apocalypse, so you got a bunch of monsters and kids fighting them and everything. But it's done in a fun way. And there's always a lot of fun, like, illustrations. This is number 7, I believe. And there's, I think, currently 9 out, but I do believe there is a 10th one on the way. And then we have Rise of the Evening Star, Fablehaven number 2 by Brandon Mole. And this one was one of my little chunky ones that I had, and it was decent. I did like it a tad bit more than the first one. I thought Seth, the brother, was a little bit better in this one, but he still really annoys me. But then the girl annoyed me a little bit more in this one too, and everything. But I am curious to eventually get to the third one, which I don't know. I only owned the first 2, so the next one I will be getting on ebook or whatever, because there's no audios for these. So I guess that was 2 that I had to read with my eyeballs. I forgot. And the next one I have on here. Okay, so there's no particular order in how I have these on here. It's just the order in which I put them on the graphic. So the next one I have is Blowing Up a Murder by Tanya Koppes. I was wanting to read something different. So this one wasn't on my TBR by any means. I was feeling like I needed something different, and I'm wanting to start. I realized whenever I did my series update that I've not been working on series quite as much as I wanted to. A lot of that's because my retro books and things like that are standalones, a lot of them, and everything, but I just hadn't been working on them as much. And I have a lot that I only have a few there, and they're just kind of left dangling there, and I really just need to make myself get through them and get them read and get them off, either caught up on or finished and everything. And this is one of those. This is number, I think, 8 out of 11. I don't know if there's going to be any more, but I do know that there are 11 out, so I don't have very many to go. It is one of my favorite series, and it's been a while since I had read anything on this series. but I really loved it. It was really easy to get back into. That's when you know you really like a series, when you can just go right back into it. All the characters, you remember them. They kind of come flowing back into your mind and everything, and you just really enjoy the series, and that's what this one was. Then the next one I have is one of my retro romances for retro summer, and this was Fern by Lee Greenwood, which is it's the second book in the Seven Brides series. It's about the Randolph brothers, and I believe that probably this whole series is going to be about the Randolph brothers, because there are like 7 of them, and so we have 7 brides for 7 brothers. Get the reference to the show, the movie. And this one was a lot of fun. I liked both the male character and the female. Fern had a traumatic past and everything. She wore men's clothing, trying to hide her physique and stuff like that. But as the main male character said, that did not work. And everything. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. And Lee Greenwood, by the way, though it's spelt feminine and everything to make it sound like it's a female writer, the guy that writes this is male. I don't remember his actual name, but he is a male author. I think that's kind of fun. Then the next one I have is South of Nowhere by Jeffrey Deaver, which is the 5th book in the Coulter Shaw series. Not my favorite in the series. I actually had thought the series ended at 4, and I was so excited to find out that there was going to be another one, and slightly disappointed because it wasn't quite up there with the other ones. It was still enjoyable and everything, but he's a reward seeker, and he usually does that for money and things. And this one, he volunteers his time because his sister is working in the search and rescue and everything. And there's a little bit more to it than just that. And it does have a little bit of the overreaching arc that's in all of the books, which is why you need to read the series in order. But it just wasn't the same as the other ones. But it was still good. And then the next one I have is Closely Harbored Secrets by Bree Baker. It's another one of those that I only have a few left. This one I think is number 5 out of 7. So I liked this one, but I didn't like it as much as the other ones. And I don't know if it was because I was telling myself, well, we need to read this book in this series to get through the series. And I just wasn't in the mood for a cozy mystery at the time. Or it was just the few moments in it where I wasn't quite sure where the relationship was going between the 2 main characters and this other character. And I don't like love triangles. I don't like it when the author messes with a relationship that they already have going and everything. I just don't like that. And so that might have been a little bit of the problem. It gets all resolved and everything's fine. But there was just that moment in the middle where I was just like, where is this going to be going? And I think it kind of lessened my enjoyment. Then I have Tombstone Courage by J.A. Jance, which is the 2nd book in the Joanna Brady series. Very good 2nd installment and everything. After everything that happened in the first one, this is our first glimpse of her in her new role and how she goes about it and some of the trouble that she gets into. So it was a lot of fun. Okay, and so then the next one I have is Dismissed with Prejudice by J.A. Jance, which is the 7th book in the J.P. Beaumont series, which is my favorite series, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that it was the first series that we started with our, what I'm calling the J.A. Jance book club by now, because we are reading all these J.A. Jance books and everything. And so Bo still has my heart, though I am really starting to like Joanna Brady as well. Her books are just really different than the Beaumont books, and so you kind of got to remember that it's not going to be like that first series that you enjoyed by an author. So the next one I have is Farewell, My Lovely by Raymond Chandler. I liked this, but I didn't love it. The first book in this series I absolutely loved. I loved Philip Marlowe. And in this one, I thought it was a little bit confusing because there's 2 different, I felt like there's 2 different stories that are getting woven into one at the end. And whenever that was happening, I was getting confused because something happens at the beginning of the book, and then it's like, it's almost like we forget about it because we're doing this other thing. And it's like, well, what happened to this one thing and everything? And it ends up, you know, kind of coming together and everything, but I was really confused. And I thought that Philip Marlowe was a little stupid in this and got himself into a lot of scrapes that wasn't really necessary and everything. So, yeah. Not, I've only read two, but this one wasn't my favorite. Um, I did love the first one, so I am curious to see how I will feel about the third one and everything once I get to it. But, yeah. Not my favorite cover, but the only one I have as of right now. But I found it. I couldn't find it during July, but I found it afterwards. Then my other retro summer book was The Bargain Bride by Flora Kidd. I really enjoyed this. Like I've said many times with these books, the retro Harlequins, you're either going to really despise the guy or you're going to like him, but at the same time you're going to be like, he is really grumpy, but you're going to root for him. And this one happened to be one of those where he was a little smart aleck at times. You kind of wanted to smack him at times, but at the same time you just knew there was a heart of gold in there. Sometimes you can figure that out. You can feel it. You just know it's going to happen, and that by the end of the book you're going to be like, I knew it. And then there's some of them that you're just like, how on earth does this woman even like this guy? So I'm glad this one was a good one. We have Changes by Jim Butcher. This was one of the gifts I was talking about when I said one of my owned books was a gift and everything. So I'm so excited to have some of the Jim Butcher books now and everything. And this one, I think, is a big turning point for Dresden. He goes through a lot of changes in this book and everything, and some of them are for the better and some of them are not, and it was really good. Of course, if you couldn't tell, this was my 5-star read of the month. Only 3 more to go. So the next book I have is my one that I read for Christmas in July, which was The Amish Christmas Hideaway by Lenore Worth. This was a love-inspired suspense book. It fit for both Keen Cat's read a Lenore Worth thing that she was doing, and then read a category romance for the Christmas in July. I wanted to get to more Christmas in July books. It just didn't happen. And so I really liked this one. It had a lot of suspense in it. It was very fast-paced. I really liked the 2 main characters and everything. She's not Amish or anything like that, but she does have some Amish affiliation and things. I think some of her, like, I don't know if her grandmother or something, I can't remember, used to be Amish, but she did have to hide in Amish country, and she dressed up like Amish so that she could kind of blend in. And the next one I have is Can't Judge a Book by Its Murder. If I'm going to pick one to be my least favorite of the month, it will be this one. I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that I just wasn't really in the mood to read it. And then I just didn't really care for the main character that much. And just, the story was just okay. And I will continue on because it is a read-along that we're doing with Killing Time with Cozies. And I am kind of curious to see if the second book will be any better. But I just really think this was wrong book at, you know, wrong time kind of thing, like, or whatever. I just wasn't in the mood for it. But overall, I thought it was okay. It just probably was my least favorite. Then the last book I have is The Accomplice by John Grisham. This is the last book in the Theodore Boone series. So I did accomplish what I was hoping to do by finishing a series. And I picked one of those that I'm like, I only have one more to go. I need to get it read. And I'm really glad I did, because I do think that this was probably one of the better ones out of the whole series. I thought I had a very good moral to the story about, you know, letting kids know that they need to make sure when they're picking their friends and everything that they pay attention to their surrounding, what's going on, and if it doesn't feel right, don't do it. and everything, because if you're in the car with somebody who does something wrong, you can become an accomplice and stuff. And so I really did enjoy this one. So there you have it, a quick rundown, or as quick as I can do, for what I read in the month of July. Like I said, overall, pretty much all of the books were pretty decent and everything. I did have the one book that I think was, you know, I just really wasn't in the mood for it, and that kind of put it on the bottom of the pile. But other than that, I really did enjoy the books, and I'm glad that I read them and everything. It wasn't like there was a dud in the bunch, so overall, July was pretty good. So I hope you guys had a really good July, and that you read a lot of great books in July. If you would like, leave a comment, maybe with what your favorite book was for July. You can always let me know how many books you read in July if you want, and all that kind of good stuff down in the comments. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!